What is going on, trainers? DrumVillain here, bringing you some more Pokemon Go PvP content, and I hope you guys have had a fun, safe and healthy holiday season, whether or not you celebrate Christmas or something else, or you just enjoy the festivities at this time of year in various parts of the world. I hope you're keeping well. And today we're taking a look at a Holiday Cup team. The Holiday Cup is still here until the end of the year, give or take a few hours, depending whereabouts you are in the world. And until the end of the year now, Holiday Cup will be triple Stardust rewards, same as the Master League and the Master League Classic, I believe, that is in as of pretty much around the time this video goes live. So it's always nice to have an excuse to play and get a little bit more resources stacked up to build some more Pokemon ready to throw into battle. Personally, I've really enjoyed having the Holiday Cup to mix up the meta a little bit. The Ultra League can get a little bit stale. I do have the XL Pokemon built, the XL Galarian Stunfisk, the Alolan Ninetales, Pokemon like that that really help you excel in the Ultra League and really give you an advantage over a lot of players that don't have the resources to build those Pokemon. But I still prefer shaking it up with something a bit different in the Holiday Cup and getting to try out some different Pokemon and get some more interesting battles out, especially get to try some new team compositions for you guys and show you what works and what doesn't. And today's team is quite an interesting one. I kind of made this team, I wasn't really expecting it to necessarily work super well. I knew that Zangoose could be a very strong safe swap potentially in the Holiday Cup. It's very highly rated on PvPoke for its performance as a safe swap, but also I've seen a lot of ice types, especially on the lead, floating around, so I thought Altaria might struggle. And then I realized that I could make the whole team blue since I've got a shiny Zangoose built for Great League, Altaria, and then Alolan SandSlash. So it was kind of it kind of amused me a little bit to build the team. And it turns out it's pretty strong and pretty fun to play. I have managed to climb a couple of 100 ELO points with this team, so it does have good performance if you're curious on whether it can help you climb or not. If you're looking for something a bit different to run, I do recommend this team. If you've been to the channel before, welcome back. If you haven't, consider subscribing. I always like to have more subscribers. And let's take a look at the team. On the lead, we've got Altaria, and that's going to be running Dragon Breath, Sky Attack, and Moonblast. Moonblast, I prefer to have it as the Legacy Community Day move, but you don't need it. I think you can do well with Dragon Pulse or Dazzling Gleam just as well. The majority of the time, you're going to be throwing Sky Attack. Anyway, on the safe swap, we're running Zangoose. Zangoose has access to Shadow Claw, Night Slash, and Close Combat, which means it can one-shot Vigoroth that comes in to counter it. It can force a shield out of them. It does massive damage to Alolan Ninetales, super effective to ice types, and does big damage to most Pokemon that are going to come in against it. And then in the back, we've got Alolan SandSlash, which is an ice and steel type, so it has to watch out for those fires. You have to keep it away from that Talonflame or Alolan Marowak. It's got access to Powder Snow, Ice Punch, and Gyro Ball is personally the secondary move I'm going to run on it. It does have access to Bulldoze, and personally I think it's down to preference, whichever you want to run. I just think it's nice to have the Gyro Ball to do good damage to the ice types, again, that are quite common in this meta, and we are using it to defend an Altaria, which means we're likely to be using it against ice types. So I think the steel move coverage is very nice to have there. Okay, now let's talk matchups. In this first matchup, we pulled an Obstagoon lead, and I consider that a very good lead because you're resisting the counter damage and you want to keep Obstagoon away from the Alolan SandSlash and the Zangoose because they're both weak to counter. Alolan SandSlash is actually double weak to counter and gets absolutely smashed to pieces by it. So if you catch a counter user, that's absolutely ideal for her. The opponent's choosing to follow up that Obstagoon with an Alolan Marowak, and I think they tried to get a farm down, but they're underestimating just how bulky Altaria is if you're not going to go for those neutral hitting moves. And we're going to stay with Altaria until we go down, because we can put a lot of work in here, but also we want to definitely align Zangoose with this thing for the farm down. We don't want to swap out and then end up getting SandSlash locked against this thing. And hopefully we'll have something weak to ice in the back. It's a Jellicent, which actually isn't that good for us. Against this team, Alolan SandSlash has very little play. So we're just going to stay in with Zangoose, get some serious damage off. You can see the Shadow Claws are really adding up fast. And this Night Slash is going to hit for big damage. We're not debuffed because they're throwing Ice Beam rather than a Bubble Beam. They must be running Ice Beam and Shadow Ball and just going for the double hard hitting move coverage there. So the Night Slash is actually going to take them out. We get the boost, which is absolutely unnecessary. We would have survived, got to the Night Slash and taken it out anyway, but GG to the opponent. Zangoose just running away with that game completely. No need for the SandSlash there. Alright, second matchup, and this is what Altaria lead is for, to catch things like Talonflame. It's a fantastic lead for Altaria in general. You can survive the Brave Bird if they do throw it and you don't shield off the bat, but it can be a little bit iffy to let that through. If they shield up, I tend to let it through though, because sometimes they still flame charge you, and honestly you can still survive that Brave Bird, and then if you line up Altaria with Talonflame again later on in the game, you can still take them out even with that small amount of health and put a lot of work in. Now, this opponent swaps out to their own Altaria, and we've got Alolan SandSlash to shut this thing down, and we realise that we don't actually have to go for the immediate hard-hitting nuke and, well, I say nuke, it's just Ice Punch, but it would do monstrous damage and would one-shot Altaria, but we decide to undercharge it massively to get ahead on energy a little bit, to have some energy to throw at this Talonflame, because we knew it was going to come back in and farm us down. We are double weak to fire, and thanks to a little bit of lag on the opponent's part there, we're able to get to another Ice Punch. Realistically, we shouldn't have been able to get that off, but always happy to take what we can get. In the GBL, the Talonflame is going to swap out into an Obstagoon, and we're going to bring in Zangoose, and you know what's going to happen. We got close combat. Obstagoon is double weak to this. It's going to get absolutely obliterated. We're going to throw it straight away because we're taking super effective from that counter, and Zangoose is pretty squishy, so we might as well stay in, have as much health as possible, make sure the Talonflame throws its energy, and then just farm down with Altaria and we'll be fine. It looks a little close, but it is a comfortable win with a shield. GG to the opponent. If you're absolutely sure an opponent's going to throw Brave Bird, you might as well use the shield on Altaria, because it is also very useful to still have it healthy to deal with a potential counter user that you might also run into in a lot of team comps in this meta. Now, in this matchup, we get a Altaria mirror match, and we're going to go straight for the Moonblast, because either they let it through and it one-shots, or they shield up and we get shield advantage. Now, I think we're going to let this go. Yeah, it's just a Sky attack and they can farm us down after this, but we can bring in SandSlash safely and farm this down. It doesn't matter if they get to a Sky attack or a Dragon Pulse or a Moonblast, we resist it all. So we can just take that fairly comfortably, farm down completely, have an energy and shield advantage, whatever's going to come in the back. And they actually have an Alolan Marowak, so we swap straight to Zangoose, because Alolan Marowak is very, very tough for SandSlash to deal with, especially since we don't have Bulldoze. We actually tried to bait this Alolan Graveler with a Night Slash. They don't fall for the bait, so we're going to go for another Night Slash, which will take them out if they don't shield, which is brilliant for us. And you're going to see that Zangoose can put some work in here, can get to the Night Slash, and this is going to do big damage if they let it through. They still only have one shield and we have two. They do let it through, and I don't think that's the right call, but also they don't know that we don't have Bulldoze. So I understand why they didn't shield, because the Bulldoze would do big damage if we did have it, but at this point it puts them pretty much into Ice Punch range anyway, so these moves are going to take them out if they do let them through. And even though we are double weak to that Fire Spin and it is really adding up, and we're weak to that Bone Club that would do big damage as well, we're still going to be able to get to a Gyro Ball, and this might be a little bit overkill. The Ice Punch would probably be enough. We might as well play it safe if we've got the energy, throw, take them out and take that win. Now, it's all fun and games talking about matchups where Altaria is winning lead. Let's take a look at the bad lead. Alolan Ninetales is about as bad of a lead as it gets for Altaria, because no matter what moveset it's running, you're going to get absolutely smashed to pieces by it. You're going to have a really hard time against it, so we're going to swap to Zangoose, and we're not actually able to get a shield with the Night Slash. The close combat would have absolutely obliterated Ninetales if they had have let it through. I believe they thought that they could farm us down quickly with Vigoroth before we got to another move, but we throw the close combat, bang! Vigoroth gets absolutely smashed to pieces by that close combat, and it doesn't one-shot, it doesn't give a switch advantage, but that's pretty much done all that work there for us. And they swapped so late, our switch time is up and theirs isn't, so we can swap straight out to Alolan SandSlash and lock this Alolan Ninetales in and start putting some work in. Alolan Ninetales is similar to Altaria against Alolan SandSlash, where you're resisting everything. You're resisting the fairy moves, the ice moves, even Psyshock if it happens to be running that. And we can put some pressure on with these ice punches, because they might need Alolan Ninetales just to deal with Altaria. And at this point, we've got our shield advantage back, and now Altaria is primed to sweep this game. They swap into Talonflame. This isn't particularly bad news for us at this point, because SandSlash is spent, it served its purpose. We can bring in Altaria and we can definitely We should probably let this go, actually, I would say, yeah. And they go for a Flame Charge bait, and that pretty much seals this game now because they're not going to have time to get to these moves. We can shield this up now safely, even if it is a Brave Bird or a Flame Charge, doesn't matter. We can farm down, have the Sky Attack to throw out the Ninetales and finish it off. If they had thrown the Brave Bird when we didn't shield, we would have survived it and still realistically made it to 2 Sky Attacks to be able to throw one at the Talonflame to finish it off and throw one at the Alolan Ninetales. It would have been a lot closer, it might not quite have worked out, but we should still have been able to take that win. Okay, the next matchup is an absolute masterclass in how not to play this team. We've got the Altaria mirror match, which isn't particularly bad for us, and we're just going to build up energy, and we're going to lose CMP tie when we go to throw the Moonblast. And we figure they're probably just throwing a Sky Attack, we'll survive through our move, and we don't. And it's a Moonblast, it takes us out, and then we get stuck with a Vigoroth in the back, and without our Altaria to put work in against the Vigoroth, there's not much we can do against that, and we're just going to surrender there. There's no point. That Vigoroth would have swept through the team. We would have had no chance, and we're just going to accept that loss and take the 4-1 in that set. I think we were feeling confident after calling the Flame Charge bait in the previous match and decided to let that through and just paid a really bad price for it and just lost that match. Right, now, this Skarmory lead was the only Skarmory lead I have seen my entire time playing Holiday Cup. With any team, that is the only Skarmory I've seen. And it's a pretty neutral matchup with pretty much everything on this team, apart from SandSlash. SandSlash does beat Skarmory pretty handily, unless Skarmory actually has Flash Cannon or Steel Wing as a fast move. It can put a little bit more work in. But we decided to swap out and see if we can bait out a counter user just to clear it out of the way, because if we get caught with just Zangoose and SandSlash against a counter user, we can have a very bad time in the back. We actually get farmed down by a Shiftry, which is really, really bad for us. At least it's not a Snarl Shiftry, although it would have struggled to farm us down and we could have thrown a close combat. But now we're still against this Skarmory with the Altaria in the initial matchup that we started with. We've still both got both shields. The Shiftry realistically will only get one more Razor Leaf off on us before we farm it down with Dragon Breath. It will not get a charge move off. It takes a very long time for Razor Leaf to build energy, and even though it got to farm down Zangoose, it only took it a couple of Razor Leaves to do so, so it definitely doesn't have enough energy for a charge move. And what we're going to do here is actually go for a farm down on the Skarmory and then just farm down the Shiftry. We were weighing up whether to throw 2 Sky Attacks at the Skarmory, but we realised that it would give them a chance to sneak an Air Slash through and potentially get ahead on energy and actually take us out. So we just went for the Dragon Breath farm down since it had already taken some damage from the SandSlash. Right, next matchup. Frostlass. Once again a bit of a nightmare scenario, but we do really get to see Zangoose shine as a potential safe swap here, because Zangoose does very well against Frostlass. The Shadow Claw damage is relentless. We get a shield out of this Vigoroth, and we're going to get to a close combat as well. If they don't shield this, it's going to do monstrous damage. Bang! They're not willing to give up 2 shields. We take switch advantage, we take shield advantage, and we get Altaria away from the Frostlass. That's absolutely amazing for us. We can lock SandSlash against Frostlass now. And Altaria does pretty well against regular Stunfisk. It's not the most dominant matchup. They pretty much go toe-to-toe with each other. But again, it's much, much better than having it stuck against Frostlass for sure. We're building up a lot of energy, and we're going to go for a Sky Attack here because they are pretty low and we don't feel the need to go. They actually catch on Frostlass, or did they swap before we threw? Either way, I don't mind that that energy's gone onto Frostlass because it just secures that we doesn't matter if we let Shadow Ball through. When we do, it's fine. We're going to hang on to our 2 shields just to shield the moves from the Stunfisk. We can just get rid of this Frostlass here nice and easy, farm it down, and we can threaten this Stunfisk pretty fast here because they know we're going to get to Ice Punch very quickly. It means they got to expend some energy to take us out. They definitely can't farm us down with Thunder Shock, even though it is neutral compared to if it had Mud Shot, which would be double resisted. But still, they can't farm us down, and we're going to be able to Dragon Breath this down. If we get to 2 Sky Attacks, we do, so actually we might as well throw the double Sky Attack here. It's getting a little bit close energy-wise. They do have a lot of energy, and they are throwing Mud Bombs to save that 1 Mud Shot's worth of energy every second charge move, which can add up, you know, when you're in this kind of race to the finish. But we're going to get both Sky Attacks off, take them out, and take the win. all thanks to Zangoose taking swap and shield advantage for us, thanks to landing that Night Slash bait and getting that close combat through. Absolutely fantastic, and just goes to show, do not underestimate a Zangoose safe swap. Alright, another Obstagoon lead. Once again, solid lead for Altaria. We love to see it here up front where we can handle it. And this Obstagoon's going to stay in. A lot of Obstagoons do choose to stay in against your Altaria lead, which is kind of surprising, but then it makes me think they might have something in the back that's weak. We're going to go straight for the Moonblast. We're going to get the shield or take them out. Boom! Absolutely annihilate that thing out of there. And we decide to swap straight to Zangoose and see what we bait out, because if they're staying with us, if they're staying with their Obstagoon and don't shield it, there's a chance they're also weak to Altaria in the back. And we bait out a Talonflame, which is absolutely perfect because we don't want to see this stuck against the SandSlash, and we don't want Altaria, which is our best Talonflame answer, to be taken out by, I believe it was a regular Stunfisk that they brought in. Now, we don't shield the Flame Charge, which is pretty ballsy. I'm kind of surprised we went for that, and we're going for an aggressive farm down. We're not quite able to get it, but we're going to have a lot of energy here now to threaten what that last Pokemon was when it comes back in. I do believe it was a Stunfisk. It is. It's the regular old Stunfisk, but you can see we've got nearly 2 Moonblasts here. We're going to be able to put some serious work in here. If they don't shield this move, we do get the last shield. And can we make it to 1 more Moonblast? Not quite. And is this worth shielding? I believe, yeah, I think it's worth shielding, because I believe SandSlash can survive 1 Mud Bomb, but an Ice Punch isn't going to one-shot them either, so this Moonblast damage is going to go a long way to getting them low enough. And like we said, we can survive this. It will do big damage, and 2 Mud Bombs probably will take us out. Oh, not quite. We can take 2 Mud Bombs. That's surprisingly bulky of SandSlash. I think if you're in a neutral energy matchup with Stunfisk and they're running Mud Shot rather than Thunder Shock, they can probably take you out with just about 2 Mud Bombs plus the Mud Shot damage. But able to take that win, GG. Alright, second to last matchup, we've got a Trevenant lead. Again, this is a pretty solid lead for this team, but also Trevenant kind of struggles against everything on this team. It's going to swap out of Altaria, which is nice for us, but also Alolan SandSlash does very well against Trevenant because it's weak to the ice damage. And with Zangoose is resisting the ghost moves and is dishing out super effective damage with the Shadow Claws and with the Night Slashers. So it doesn't really matter what Pokemon on our team's lined up with Trevenant, you can handle it kind of no matter what. Now, they swap in a Celio, and we did throw a Sky Attack at it because we weren't 100% sure fully how to handle this. We decided to throw a Sky Attack, soften it up, bring in SandSlash since we figured it might have Body Slam, which would be resisting, it might have Ice moves, which would be resisting. So it felt like the safer option rather than Zangoose, because we'd be kind of pressured to go for close combat to take it out, which puts us in a strong position to, like I said, losing switch advantage isn't the biggest problem, but also they might have a hard Altaria counter in the back, so we do want to keep it away from that. Now we take that Shadow Ball, which does big damage, doesn't take us out, and they swap out into a Lapras, and here we've got 2 shields. And Zangoose is squishy. Just a regular Surf before we're debuffed would still do big damage to us, but it is worth the shield, and now we're going to go for double close combat. They shield the first one up, we're going to get to 1 more, and this is going to... Lapras is bulky, but you're going to see this. It's going to smash it to pieces. Bang, Lapras is gone. And we are double debuffed here defense-wise, but we're also double resisting the Shadow Claws. So Trevenant can't farm us down. We're going to go for the Night Slash, take them out, and take the win. I wasn't 100% sure on Celio's moveset, but looking at the moves it had, SandSlash was definitely the right option to swap into, but also it was definitely the right option to soften it up first, because Celio struggles to take out SandSlash, but SandSlash struggles to take out Celio. They're just very resisting each other's moves a lot. Alright, once again, Alolan Ninetales lead, last matchup. Now, Alolan Ninetales is very tough, and I actually think I'm playing this wrong. I do think that the right call in these games is actually to safe swap Alolan SandSlash. Even though SandSlash is your harder counter, it just forces them to swap out, because a Charm, Alolan Ninetales, as you can see, can just choose to shield once and just obliterate Zangoose, because it's just so squishy, it takes so much damage from that Charm. Whereas if you can play out the long game, you swap in SandSlash, see what they bring in, you get the shields out of them, and then you get Zangoose against it when they don't have a shield, and you can take them out with a close combat. That's much more ideal. And Alolan SandSlash isn't that common in the meta. It can throw some opponents out if you do say swap it. Obviously they've got a Talonflame in the back to punish it, you're kind of stuck no matter what. And this opponent does. And now, yeah, we can get Altaria against this thing, which is still healthy, but also they've still got a very healthy Ninetales in the back. So we're in a very, very tough position. They have got a lot of energy on that Ninetales from farming down our Zangoose with Charm. So there's not really much we can do here. We're just hoping we can get to 2 Sky attacks, I guess, and hoping that that will be enough to take them out. But they're going to be very, very close to another Weather Ball here. I believe they might be 1 Charm away if they're not already at this. No, they're already at it. They're already at the Weather Ball. And that's going to take us out. And this is going to pretty much seal our fate in this last matchup. But again, a very, very tough composition to deal with. A Ninetales against our Altaria, a Talonflame in the back that ends up ready to deal with our SandSlash. We were just all the wrong Pokemon against the wrong things, and that can just be how it goes sometimes, no matter what team you're running and how good it can be. But see, we're able to take out the Ninetales, and we almost get an Ice Punch off, but it wouldn't have been enough to take them out anyway. GG. Still very happy with the team's performance. 2 4-1 sets is nothing to turn your nose up at any ELO rating. It's solid for climbing, and I do recommend you give it a try if you got these Pokemon at your disposal. It's not the hardest meta team for the Holiday Cup, but it does put some solid work in against a lot of the meta lines that you're going to see out there. So if you enjoyed this video, consider leaving a like. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you guys next time.